Hello Geek Speakers, this is Tiff, one half of Geek Speak and Junk. Today I'm going to go over this white rock diorama that I made and give you the supplies that I used and just some techniques and such. So to start out with, you're going to need some good knives. I use the one on the left, that orange one, a lot in this, and then the X-Acto knife a lot to do the cracks and crevices, and then I use the orange one more for kind of like shaving off the corners and shaving off on the ground, kind of like to make steps. And then every piece that you see sticking up on the platform, except for the very the low bottom one, the tall one is just on a magnet. The one in the right in front of that one is glued to the base, and then the three other ones are modular and you can just move them around. And I just glued some chunks together and started slicing away until I got some shapes that I like, trying to eliminate any hard lines or corners, trying to get rid of the 1-inchness, even though that's a little hard. Now you can see the corners more where I take that orange one and kind of shave it down. And then one of the new techniques that I learned right before I started this project from another YouTuber, I can't even remember who it was, he took like the long blade on the orange one I showed you and slashed horizontal lines in the side of the rock, which gives you that layered effect that you would find in nature. It gives you the, I don't know if it's sedimentary rock, I'm not even sure what kind it is, but it, like when you look at it from the side, it looks like there's cracks every couple inches, which also helps when you do that to get rid of the edges of when you glue the styrofoam together, because there's always going to be an edge of that it makes it much more natural looking. After you get the desired textures that you want, then you can do a black wash with sand. I add to the black gesso and mix it up real good, and then I start just painting away. Before I painted, I also made sure to, before you add the sand and stuff, to add some texture with rocks or bricks or anything I find outside that I can press into the foam to give it more rock texture. I do that before I do the painting, and you can see the sand, it's really wet in this picture. And the black wash on these rock ones is very important to get it in all the nooks and crannies. So then when you start doing your colored washes or stuff on top, you don't want to get it in all those grooves. So first I started with some purples and kind of some pink colors. You can see the modular pieces, and I'm not very careful. I try not to do strokes that you can really see too much and kind of sporadic. Then once I get some color under there, then I started adding some grays, and there's a lot of different colors of gray that go over the color. So it's sort of like you want to hide it, but you want it to show through. I also added some stones and rocks, some little pebbles and stuff in the crevices. That also helps eliminate some of your hard edges so that it doesn't look like it's just foam glued on foam. And then I always start from my darkest colors and work to my lightest. And like, I actually never use white, but I just use a lighter gray color. Then after all the paint is done, to really give it some realism, I like to add moss. Moss is kind of one of my new favorite things. I think I probably say that in every video. This video, moss is my favorite thing. I think the last one I did, rivets, was my favorite thing. But whenever I discover a new thing that makes it just a little more realistic, like, I get really excited about it. So you can get moss. It comes in either little envelopes or a big canister at Hobby Lobby or a model place. There's lots of different places that you can find it. And all you do is I take a paintbrush and dab on some glue wherever I want it to stay, and then you sprinkle it on and you shake it off. It comes in a couple different colors. Here I also added some plastic plants, which can be hard to find in the right size. And then I just clip a couple leaves off and hot glue them on. And those are on the ground a couple places. Then I added a couple ferns in the background. I always like ferns. I don't know why. They kind of look bushy without being a bush. creates a little more atmosphere. Anything that makes you think of like organic, then it makes the rock more believable to add the earthy green stuff. Just some more details where you can really see how getting in there with your black wash was such an important thing. Without having that real dark color, you wouldn't have the contrast you need with the light colors on top of it. And it's just really important. And then you never have to worry about having any of the pink of the styrofoam showing through. What I would have changed if I was going to do this again, though, I would make sure to eliminate more of the edges. You can even see when they're with the 1-inch foam. So you don't want everything to be measurable like that. So here's just the final product. You can see from a little distance how the moss and the plants really help it look more realistic when you put a figure in there. And then you can move the stones around a bit. It really does bring it to life. And here are some photos that he took using the background. You can see with the different lighting and depending on how you set it up, it can look very realistic. Here's a custom Thor figure too. And like always, thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions about anything, please drop it in the comments. And if you'd like to see anything in the future, put that down there as well. Please subscribe to our channel. That way you can see when the next dials and figures are coming out. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and on Etsy as well. Thank you, and always remember to respect your shelf.